Yo crew, Joey here. Let's explore in this video how you can set your product in the right light and shoot a commercial like this one. Okay. Wait, you telling me this phone has been discontinued? Okay, so product shoots are without any doubt the perfect creative exercise to do during winter, shitty weather, or a global pandemic, because you can do it from the comfort of your home. And it's fun and rewarding and it brings joy to your life. So let's talk about arguably the most important component for product photography and filmmaking, and that's light. Now, the hands down most common setup, and some might say the Swiss Army knife of lighting when it comes to product photography and filming, is top-down lighting. You can find it in tech, car, luxury goods and food, like literally anywhere. The key to a good-looking image here is using, as in many other cases, a big soft light source. It's just very pleasing to any kind of surface, be it skin or a can of milk. A box of milk, a pack of milk, whatever it is. Now, luckily, we don't have to shoot a car, and a simple softbox or diffusion sheet will get the job done. And most softboxes are round, but we specifically picked a strip box, a rectangular shaped softbox, because we're shooting a product that is highly reflective, and in one way or another, the light source will reflect on your product. Now, oftentimes I use a honeycomb grid to avoid spill on the backdrop. In fact, I'm using one right now to not light up the back of the room that much. But when you use and shoot reflective surfaces, it shows up really quick. And I don't know if you can see it here. Yeah, there you go. It just doesn't look good. So when you shoot products with high reflections, don't use a honeycomb grid because it will show up in your reflections. Now, next you want to get your light source as close as possible to your object, just out of frame, so that the light nicely wraps around your object. I've been using the Aperture 120D Mark II for the longest time, and it's a great light, but I realized that I needed something with more oomph, if that's a word. In particular when shooting with the Laowa probe lens, and oh boy, I can tell you, that's a heck of a lens. If you ever get your hands on it to try it out, it's fun, but it's an f/14, wide open, it's f/14, and needs a ton of light. While I got this lens decently working on the EVA1 at 24 frames per second with their dual ISO, the Komodo definitely needs more light. Now, I got the Forza 500 Cent from Nanlite, which is a 500 watt LED light which blasts over 46,000 lumens and definitely illuminates the room. In fact, I'm using it at 5% right now here as my key light. Even with double diffusion in this softbox, the light gave me still enough output for this super slow lens. But one thing you have to keep in mind with these powerful lights is the power brick. And oh boy, for this 500 watt lamp, it is a massive power brick that I actually have here standing right next to me on the ground because it is so big. But you can also power it via V-mount batteries, so it can be an on-the-go option if you choose to do so. If you're curious, this light sets you back $1,299 and is better priced arguably than their closest competitor, the Aperture 600D. I will leave links in the description below. Now, depending what you're shooting, you want to pick a fitting surface, backdrop, and any other related props. For electronics and photo and filmmaking gear, I usually resort to these reflective surfaces. You've seen this plexiglass, possibly a lot in my product shots on my channel. Or you can get these printed, this is a rubber kind of latex mat, reflecting like a concrete plate to give a little bit of a different vibe. For some scenes in this shoot, I'm using slate to just give and reflect the ruggedness. Whenever you pick props or background, you want it to enhance your image, reflect what you're shooting, give it, be it a metaphor or something tangible that is related to your product. Oh, and especially when you're shooting on reflective surfaces or with macro lenses, every speck of dust is absolutely put in spotlight and visible. So you want to get one of these like little blowers, macro fiber towel, or this canned air here. It's worth gold. I felt kind of silly when I went to Amazon and bought stones in air. Now, to spice up your scene, you can introduce additional lights, for example, to accentuate certain shapes, to fill in dark corners, or to introduce some color. Such back-in rim lights can help isolate your subject from the background and make it really pop and stand out. So for this shoot, I was using the PavoTube 26C, which is this little RGBWW stick LED light, which comes in super handy. It's 65 minutes battery time on full output. Is something to keep in mind when you shoot product shoots. I was reminded this weekend that these shoots take quite a little bit of a while, but you can always charge it with your USB port. One cool feature is that these rear end, the back side of it is magnetic, so you can plug it anywhere you really want to. And because they're so small and handy, you can just also like create some motion with your light. It's just super easy to navigate and play around with. And this is where you want to get creative and just try out things. I generally don't plan out my product shoots. I just like have some specific shots in mind, but like play around a lot. Maybe that's the reason why I take longer, but I think it's a fun process. So just go out and enjoy it. Another lighting technique for product shoots is to introduce a practical light source. A practical light source is a light that is visible in your frame, and it helps to add dimension, depth, and also interest to your composition, like what we're doing here right now. We're actually using the PavoTube 30C, which is the bigger brother of the 6C here. These are certainly specialty lights that you oftentimes actually see being used as a practical light, for example in music videos, but you can totally use them as your key light source or as a rim light or just as a fill light to add more atmosphere to your scene. What I really dig about them is they are actually battery powered, and the battery brick must be so big it lasts for 2 hours at full output. I'm running them at 1% right now, 1% brightness. And like they've been running for at least 4 hours right now already. Now a question I have, and I was not the only one, is are they water resistant? Because they are housed in this plastic tube, and Armando Ferreira on his channel, in his review, pointed out the power button actually has a rubber cover over it. So why would you put a rubber cover over it if there is not some water resistance? Maybe you got to try it out with a lightsaber fight in rain or something like that. Though the buttons on the back are a little bit flimsy, this is where you dial in your settings. It actually has the manual fully printed on the back of the light. It's really handy, and you can see all the effects that you can dial in. Now with a Nanlite remote controller, you can control all the lights from the Forza 500 to all the PavoTubes, which I actually did a lot, where I just posted up next to the product with my iPad, which transmitted from my Komodo with the image, and then I dialed in the lights with a remote control in terms of their dimness and brightness and colors, right as I was standing right next to the shot, so I could frame it up as I wanted. Super handy, totally recommend. If you get a set of these lights, definitely helpful to have this. The PavoTubes 30C come in a kit of 2 and in a nice carrying bag, and it sets you back $559 cash. A more unconventional way in lighting your product is using actually a monitor or a TV screen as your backdrop, and I've been seeing more and more videos being shot like that, so I had to try it out myself, and I can tell you it's actually incredibly easy to set up, and the output, the results that you get are just mind-blowing. I'm really happy and totally encourage you trying it out. The idea is actually inspired by these new LED sound stages, like the volume that they used for The Mandalorian, and I would bet a lot of money that this is the future of filmmaking, and it's an innovation like green screen has changed the industry. So if you haven't heard about that, just watch the BTS for The Mandalorian. It's obviously at home you don't have the space nor the technology and 3D rendering power, possibly not the know-how. I definitely don't have it. So I stick to a simple locked up shot and then use my TV as the backdrop, put some lights on the side to just like accentuate the rims of my phone here, and a top-down light, and then just pulled up a very interesting looking imagery that goes along with the message that I wanted to communicate with this Spec ad. And those images I just pulled from today's sponsor, Storyblocks. What a smooth transition was that. Ha! So Storyblocks has a library of over 1 million stock assets, from music, images, 4K video to motion templates. I wanted to pay homage to the phone's name, hydrogen, which is the most abundant element in the universe. So I typed in galaxy and sun and whatnot and found within seconds like some very visually arresting imagery that I could try out. And this is the key, just try out things and see what matches and what is compelling as well as visually complementary to your subject, and try it out. Now with the unlimited all access plan for individual creators or larger creative teams, you get unlimited downloads from the library, royalty free for both personal use and commercial use. Check out Storyblocks with a link in the description below. Now, if you don't want to use your TV to color and light your background, you can simply use RGB lights to illuminate your backdrop. Now, in my setup, I use the top light to just blast on the subject at 5600 Kelvin and then position the tube lights so that they only illuminate the backdrop. I actually use some dark foam board to block out the light so that they don't spill on my object here. And for the backdrop, I used the seamless paper in charcoal gray, which I found actually working best to reflect colors. And then just using your pavo tubes to either create one seamless color stream or mix and match and create a nice gradient. Again, it's your playing field. Just pick the colors that reflect your product well, and then just try out things what visually really pops out and works for you. Keep experimenting. This is the fun and rewarding part of shooting products. All right, now it's on you. Go out and try things. And don't get frustrated if something doesn't work out. It's normal. Experiment. More often than not, shots that I haven't planned out at all magically come together. It's a fun process. Just, go with the flow. I will leave product links in the description below, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Also, if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing and joining the notification crew. It's free, why not? And as always, thanks so much for watching. Have a good morning, have a good night, whenever and wherever you are around this beautiful planet. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Joey Helms and Tentacle, for sending me this awesome audio gear. I see all my mixers in the field using this stuff, so very excited to try it out. I also never win anything, so I'm very happy that I finally won something. They sent me 2 of these trackies and 1 of these synkies for time code. They also sent me some necessary cables. Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Tentacle. I cannot wait to try this stuff out.